my story and get my victory and give God the glory. Give God the glory. Yeah, that's what I do. Give God the glory.
All over there. That's gonna be real funny. Flip right on.
Roger can't go get
Can't
that
you
on.
see victory? Victory! No more shame in this game. No more shame. No more shame in this game. No more shame. No more shame. I'm not alone.
Great evening. Welcome to Why Should I Be Ashamed? I'm Sheila Calvert. I am your host and I am the author of the book, Why Should I Be Ashamed? Every Tuesday at 7 p.m., we come here with topics, everything sexual abuse. Well, tonight, our producer got held up. There was an accident, so we're running just a little bit in time. You know, it's all of it's God's time, so we're still on time. But thank you for coming in. Will you do me a favor? Like and share and get ready to get you some books. Hey, listen, I have a guest tonight. None other to our very own Pastor A. Allen Calvert. Tonight, our topic is 10 things, we may not get through all 10 of them, 10 things you should know about sexual abuse, 10 things that you should know. Yes, sometimes we have to bring friendly reminders. Sometimes we have to, it may sound repetitious, but what does the Bible says? Men learn through repetition. You know a lot of things you didn't take heed to on the first. Grandmother had to say out of the mouth of 3 or 4, every word is established. So tonight, I want Anthony to introduce himself, my pastor husband. Hey, how are you tonight?
I'm doing great. It's awesome to be here live on the Why Should I Be Ashamed live cast with my lovely wife. Just as you begin to do that opening, I think you should definitely put into the plans to do a show on the husbands who actually live with women who have experienced abuse. I think people should know what we go through and just how those things
Here we're getting ready to rumble. Now, did you see the shift? I mean, if you just want to have a counseling session, we can just go right in. Let's keep it 100, keep it 99.
If the producer wouldn't have laughed, I could have kept a straight face. But
I
seriously,
mean, really, what's the topic for tonight? I mean, where are you going with that?
Well,
you do that at the end. You don't just come in and switch things around.
Okay, well,
I thought there was going to be a flow. Now you told me that you were going to act right. You took your act right pill. You took your meds.
I'm drinking it.
You took your meds.
This is act right.
Okay, can you get me on? Listen, all jokes aside, for real, we try to have a little humor because we know that all over the world, I mean, we got pandemic, we have shootings, we have racial profiling and just all kind of ugliness. But I'm telling you, sometimes you have to take a break. We have life, death. We have our family members are leaving and coming, and so much is going on. And yet this is still a burden of my heart. This is still something that that still I am addressed. People come to the salon and they talk to me in private and they pour out their hearts, their feelings, and so I am called to this. This is my mission field, and I have great concern. So tonight I really want to get going on these 10 things tonight. And if you have any questions, and I don't ever want you to feel embarrassed, we come to break that generational silence of shame and embarrassment of having been assaulted, and we have somehow taken on the responsibility or what is that when accountability, as if we were the problem. You never was the problem. It never was you. It where it came from is where it came from, that person. So tonight I just want you to pay attention to your children. Pay, especially our babies. We have to pay attention. Pay attention to when our women are coming to you. When women are coming to you, or men, and sharing their story.
Yes.
Let's not laugh. Let's not make it funny tonight. So let's start with this. How do we define sexual assault? A lot of people think you have to have a violent experience, or a it has to be someone that you don't know. How do you define it tonight, Pastor?
Personally, or you want me to go with the
I want you to
prescribed?
go.
Well, great. As we begin to go, those of you that are driving, of course, don't look at your screen. But those of you that are in a safe place, you'll see these statements come up. So, sexual assault is clearly defined as this, and it says this: sexual assault is any type of sexual behavior or contact where consent is not freely given. Here's also what it says: it's not freely given or obtained, and it is accomplished through force, intimidation, violence, coercion, manipulation, threat, deception, or abuse of authority. Sexual assault also includes acts of such as non-consensual sexual intercourse, rape, non-consensual sodomy, child molestation, incest, fondling, exposure, voyeurism, or attempts to commit these acts. And voyeurism, I just want to be very plain with that. Voyeurism is the showing of exposing of body parts to other individuals that are not interested or shouldn't see your body parts. If an older man shows a young girl his genitals or something, voyeurism, being open and offensive. So,
Wow. And so, as we have all these definitions, and often when we hear these stories, or when someone is sharing your stories, it may not sound like it is defined here, because sometimes it could be just a family member just going into the kitchen, and a person just taking advantage of you, as I've experienced as a little child. And you don't know what's going on. You just in shock. You can't scream. You can't holler. And so, as I look at these definitions, it just, most of us that have this experience, I think sometimes you say, well, that's not exactly what happened to me, or I didn't feel that way. But people on the other side, they're always trying to tell you your experience. I have one of I remember I was talking about sexual abuse with one of my in-laws, and they were like, "Well, we don't want to talk. We don't want people to know." She can't include me in her experience. I got to the place where I wanted to share. And so tonight I want you to know that all these definitions, if it wasn't consensual, no means no. We've been saying that. And I want us to talk to our sons. We're going to have Bishop to come back again. Talk to your sons. Talk to them. We always have talked to the girls. So, another thing, sexual assault is prevalent in at least 1 to 4 women, and 6 men will be victims. Who are these people? When you hear me talk about it, you read my book, you know we focus on this a lot. You search for content. Who are these people that we're talking? These 1 and 4 are these? Who are they?
well, these 1 in 4 women and the 1 in 6 men, they are the everyday Joes. They are the people that you work with. They are
Everyday Sheilas, everyday
everyday.
Anthony's,
Yes,
everyday.
they are the people you go to school with. They're They're your neighbors, they're your comrades, constituents. These are people you see every day. And as we get further into this, you're going to find out that the plaguing property of most people is when these things happen is to keep them very private, and that is the wrong thing to do. And
No more silence. No more
yes,
keeping it private. It's no more no more trying to spare everybody. We're trying to spare everybody. You know, we have our picks and chooses. We should be responsible to tell the truth in these circumstances, especially in our families when once we keep the silent, no one get help. No one get, no one gets help, and it just filtrates through the whole family, the whole system, the whole community, you know.
absolutely. And here's one thing to be very mindful of, that when it says that at least 1 in 4 women and 1 in 6 men are victims of this sexual assault in their lifetime, you have to understand this, is that a lot of times the people who have not experienced it, it's almost as if it doesn't happen. And so you say a lot of times, if Shannon and Skip can always talk about sports, I know for a fact that this subject will probably get on some people's nerves, because to a lot of people it doesn't happen because it hasn't happened to you. But you have to remember, the statistics say 1 in 4 women, 1 in 6 men have experienced this. And let me tell you, those numbers are just as high as sports fans and sports enthusiasts. So that means this is just as important as any sports information that can be passed, any local news. This needs to be discussed.
Well, listen to the executive. Yes. Well,
Here
it
we go.
needs to be discussed. I like your ring. Let me see your football ring. What you got going on there? Wow, that is kind of nice there. Okay. So listen, you're so right. Okay, this is another thing. 80% of the people that is victimized is often by, and these numbers, when we're talking about stats, these are the people that has maybe let someone know, reported it. A lot of them have not been reported, so the numbers are not exact. But 80% are assaulted by dates. Y'all get on these dating sites. You have to be careful. I remember, I'm going to just stop here, pause here for a minute. In our churches, we were at a conference with women, and some of the pastors, they were saying, what y'all need to do is don't get on these dating sites. Don't do this. You know, we're often in the church, we're telling people, don't do this. Well, what are my options here? Everything is, on social media. But what I told the women at my church is, I know that you are going to do. It's like telling people don't watch TV. You know, you told them people don't watch TV, don't watch cable, and they went and watched it anyway. But I told them, be safe, be careful, take someone with you. Don't tell these people where you live.
Hmm.
And people nowadays, they Google you, they research you, they try to find you, but you have to have wisdom, because you don't know, just because a guy take you on a date and bring you some chocolate or some flowers, that doesn't mean that he's a good guy. And
Absolutely.
so we have to be, if you want to be, we want to be preventative tonight. We want to be careful. Of course, I understand you want to go on dates, and you're going to go on dates. I have someone that's very close to me. She married a man from a dating site, and they have a wonderful, wonderful relationship, and things worked out for her. But we have to be safe, especially if it's oftentimes it's people it's doctors, lawyer, it could be your therapist, it could be
Hmm.
your preacher. I used to tell my children, don't let anybody in. How about that? Don't figure it out. Don't let anybody in. And my mother, when I was a little girl, she told me, don't let anyone in. I opened the door when, I think I was maybe 5 or 6, and they went somewhere. And Uncle Woody came from Detroit, and I opened the door and let him in. Didn't know him from hadn't seen him probably since I was a baby. So we have to even be careful. And everything warrants an explanation. We need to sit and explain. You don't open the door. You need to give fair explanations to why you telling your daughters not to sit on laps, why you telling your sons
Absolutely.
not to pull little dresses, girls' dresses. We need to really start really having real conversation because our people, our children, they have this information. So it could be your friend, it could be your acquaintance, and always tell you to don't acknowledge your discernment. Don't acknowledge your real feelings. Don't go. Someone invited me somewhere and she says, "Well, we're gonna send you an Uber." I've never sent an Uber. No, I'm not sending an Uber for none of my friends. When they come to town, I'm going to get them, or pastor's gonna go get them. I'm not Ubering, so don't ask me. Don't I'm not coming because you don't know who's in the Uber. And I'm nothing against Uber drivers, but I'm just saying we have to use wisdom in this hour.
Yes.
This is a tragic hour. Um,
So,
what do you think about the prevention of this sexual abuse?
well, I think because sexual assault is so prevalent, that when you said most
Is
victims,
this just black people?
no, this is
Oh, okay.
these statistics, they go across the board.
Okay, great, great, great.
And to
Uh,
be honest, you would be surprised to know in certain areas the numbers are higher for predominantly black families when there's a high concentration of the American black men and women living there. But this does not. This actually does not earmark a race to actually attack. Wherever
mhm.
you have men, women, this can happen. And so, as we move on to this, one surprisingly common thing, and I want you to know this, it's surprisingly common uh, that child sexual abuse is common. It's so surprisingly common. Child sexual abuse is surprisingly common. Child sexual abuse is more prevalent than most people think, and the offenders are usually people that the parents and the children know, not strangers.
So we're too trustworthy, is what you're saying. We just trust too much.
I think it goes even beyond trust because, to be really honest, it's not so much as trust. It's just that we think that certain people, and here's why I say it's not trust. Because the very people that some people will let see to their children, they will not give them their bank account numbers. They will not give them keys to their house. They will not let give them keys to their
But it's
car,
still
but they
some
will
kind of
let their
trust, isn't it?
children. I think it's something worse than that.
What is it?
I think it's negligence. I think it's looking at people and saying that they are inherently good
They
and
are
not
who they
seeing.
say that they are.
Exactly.
I'm your friend. I'm your uncle.
Exactly.
I'm your cousin. I'm your brother. But if we're living in a time where you see sexual abuse is just so prevalent, and it is so um, it's like almost hardly no one is escaping. When you look at that, why we are negligent is right, because I remember just feeling like I'm tired. I need a break. Somebody watch these children, and I know I focus on children a lot, and the same concern goes for our women. The same concern goes for our sons, our teenage boys. It anyone could be taken advantage of.
Hmm.
But when it comes to children, I think sometimes as parents, you think you need a break and you just think that no one is going to put you in that kind of devastating position where you would have to even think the thought of them hurting a child. But it happens every day.
It does. And here's another thing too. 1 in 5 children are sexually abused by their 18th birthday. A child is much more likely to be sexually
Wow.
abused by a recognized trusted adult than by a stranger. 34% of assailants are family members. 58% are acquaintances of children or family, and only 7% of the perpetrators are actually strangers. So, you know what it says? We think that the higher percentage is family members abusing their children. No, that's 30 some odd percent. 58% of the cases is from actual acquaintance of the family, friends.
Ooh, that just make me just. Ooh, that
Make
make,
you wanna
ooh, it
what?
make me want to just hit something. And, I mean, it just
No,
make,
no, 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 no,
it just
no,
make.
no.
I
Wait a
mean,
minute.
it just don't sometimes you just want to rattle something,
Yeah,
you know?
I do be wanting to choke something sometimes.
Yeah, and I be want to choke something back, and
What did you
and I be
talking
want to
about?
just. I mean, it's not funny. It's pathetic. It is pathetic. I just, and you just sitting right here and it's black and white and it's just like,
No, I don't
ooh,
follow you. I have no idea what you're
bring your
talking
neck over here. Bring your neck it out.
about. You know what though? I will say this is that from talking with Broderick briefly, here's where it got really weird. We said, "Hey, what would we say to these guys?" And for the most part, both of us are somewhat loquacious when we're talking, but we were lost for words. What do you say to a man that's thinking about doing this to his child? What do you say about a person that's even contemplating doing this?
I know we don't have platforms for them because it seems so monstrous, and definitely they're going to be judged. It's almost like call for the firing squad. You let a man get up and say, I'm thinking about sexual abusing my daughter. It's like, okay, we're going to
Kill him.
judge, call the firing squad. He's not valuable. He's not worth anything. And what you are trying to say is there should be a platform, there should be a place that he can go and
Yes.
get help. And but most of them, I mean, it is on record that most of them, even the ones that confess from the prison house, most of them live in a place of denial. I haven't heard, and I guess we need to do some researching of people that is, confessing our issues before they happen. Usually we're overtaken by it, or we're consumed with it, or we're driven, and then the next thing you know, we go in every area of our lives as a human flesh. So who and where is someone going to say, "Hey, Anthony, I'm thinking about doing this to my daughter." So with that being said, if no one is coming to you guys saying that, then maybe you guys should have doing some of your muncho time, or some of your man time, or what do you call it, man cave time. Maybe that's something that you all should stop and take heed and address and talk about. But I guess that would ruin the cigar moment, or the whatever moment you guys have.
But here's the
It'll ruin
dilemma.
the moment.
But here's the dilemma. And Broderick, probably get your mic ready just in case. But here's the dilemma.
Get ready for the punchline, Broderick.
But here's the dilemma. So what happens in the event? Broderick and I, we're having a discussion, or no matter what, we can visibly distinguish some traits that looks like this person is an abuser. What do we say? You just can't walk up to a person. That would be like profiling. That would be against a person's rights. Even if it's a friend of mine and he's acting in a way where he's too sexual with his sons or daughters, even though I see that, I know from the spiritual side I can pray, but what do we say? I mean, we can't just say what we see. We shouldn't look the other way. Now, if it's something strong that happens, and reason I told Broderick to get his
Like what?
mic.
What does that look like? Because I mean, you're talking, but what does that look like? Because I mean, you can say if you don't, you're gonna get snatched up and jacked up if you don't, if you act up. I
I
mean,
mean, the fact that some men have had their babies and their daughters around them with cheeks hanging out of their short pants. I don't believe a father should allow that. To me, it's something wrong if your child can.
well, wait a minute. Beyonce does it. She's dancing, and her dad is in the audience. You know, when you
No, I'm
look,
saying a child though, babe. Beyonce is grown. Her
but I'm
daddy
saying
can't tell her what to
but
wear.
they're watching what she wears. And not to
Yeah,
put her down. Nothing negative. She's a beautiful person, beautiful woman.
but that's totally different. I'm talking about someone who has no control
Well, somebody
of
ought
a
to train that
14-year
little
old.
child.
But here's the thing: if a father is comfortable with that, then something's wrong.
Or
So
if he don't tell her, girl, go get you some clothes on.
exactly. And to have too much cleavage out, children nowadays, and I want to ask Broderick this to chime in, that at an early age they're developing, so they have to wear a little more than the teenagers
Well,
did
even
back
if they
then.
don't you think a man should have some self control? Because
Yes,
he see a few lumps and bumps, and
he
now
should.
he done went into animal list.
But no, that's not what I'm saying. You
Okay.
jump into conclusion.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
saying
way
your
over in
child is
conclusions.
developing, and now all of her cleavage is out, and you're buying her very revealing clothes, and she's just sitting around her father like that. A father, even though he's not interested in her, he should tell his daughter, cover up. That's not ladylike. What do you think, Roger? Because I don't want to sound like I'm being judgmental or anything, but what would you
Because
say?
every household is so different, and they probably, you got these little girls being cheerleaders, business, and some men ain't even thinking like that. And we know that all fathers are not like that. They probably just, that's my child. She's wearing her shorts. Okay, Broderick, what chime on in here?
No, I just think that I hear, as fathers raise their daughters and things that, you don't want too much out there. But regardless if there's things out there or cleavage showing, it's still wrong. No matter,
Right.
if somebody, a man sees a woman down the street naked, it's still wrong. Even though what happens that, yeah, you can lust and revealing and all those things, but it's still wrong. You shouldn't do that at all. So I hear on both sides that yes, it's different when you're trying to train up your child to be respectful and of class, but even if it's not, it's still wrong. So even with if someone well, your daughter shouldn't have walked in front of me like that. It don't matter.
Right.
It's still wrong. That's not what you're supposed to do. Now, to prevent something like that from happening, yes, it's about prevention. Yes, if someone's over, just like there's guests over at the house, no, you need to, dress appropriately and things like that. So.
Well, is it excusable because we hear, we know everything now. I mean, everybody is an executive. Everybody know about everything. Is it excusable when you say, well, men are visual, and they have to look. They have to look at butts and breasts, and if you itch wrong, they looking. If you turn your head, is it something that just comes natural? And I know that sexual abuse is not just a man thing. We know women abuse at high rates in this hour too. But well, is there something wrong with y'all? Not y'all, but I'm just saying. You can't dig itch. I said, girl, don't scratch. Don't scratch.
Lord have
Don't.
mercy.
Is it a signal? Everything signals someone's sexuality. That is just sickening to me because you're visual. It's like y'all know I was gonna look at that. You wore that for me to look at. Sometimes I think as a girl, let me show my innocence here. When I was about 16 and we wore halter tops, I knew the stepfather was a pervert, so I tried to cover up with a sheet around him. I ain't never want him to see me. Who wants their mama's man? But I did want to go and be cute to my boyfriend and have just for him. Now all the other little boys that was around, it wasn't for him.
Bad self.
And that's another thing. Y'all called us fast, but you can't be fast alone. But and you figure you're just being a teen. You just,
Right,
and
right.
then again, you're watching the superstars. I done seen Pam Grier when I was coming up. They were always sexy, and I know that we're hypersexual in our um, generation to generation. Even the mothers board that said they wasn't hypersexual with all their children, they was something. But I, I'm just saying, I did that innocently. That wasn't for everybody.
Exactly.
And Broderick, you said a key thing. Just because and we can't get caught up in clothing because we know it is more than that. But just because I don't have on enough clothes, or maybe I'm exposed and maybe I'm feeling sexy, that doesn't mean I want everybody in the world to touch me or to pull a train on me or to rape me or to have unconsensual anything with me.
Okay. I mean, I don't have
So I want to
a
know
rebuttal
but I'm
for,
saying
for
why
that,
why
but
do we make excuse? Y'all know men is visual. They always making the women do something. Even in the churches, and I understand that we have a responsibility to be our brother's keeper. Do we? Y'all can't
yes.
get control of your joints?
I think you have to be respectful. You know what? Here's one thing. I remember when our son has this amazing physique, right? We still didn't allow him to just walk through the house with no shirt on. And you weren't interested in him, nor was I, but we wanted him to know,
We
hey,
we
there's
taught
a
them respect.
exactly there's a way to have some class and to present yourself. And definitely when company comes over, we didn't receive company in pajamas or the stuff we slept in. We would put on something to receive. Now, everybody doesn't think that way. Everybody does not have that level of appropriateness, and I don't want to say they're inappropriate because it all depends on your culture and how you were raised. I get it. But, however, I believe now there's a more immense and more need of a responsibility for us to look at some of those things that was just maybe considered as being strict. We should start implementing them, not to keep a pervert, because a pervert, a woman can have on a turtleneck and he's still a pervert, right? She can be all the way
But
covered
that's
up.
the thing. Even with men, you don't have to be a pervert. You can pervert. You can have on a whole dress, and it still is visual.
But for the holistic presentation of men and women, we need to look at what we present to the world just for ourselves and our self esteem. Because here's one other thing they said about these assault victims: when it is happening or when it has happened, the person, first thing they start to do is look at what they've presented and they feel like it's their fault. I agree with Broderick. It doesn't matter if they're naked, it's not their fault and they shouldn't be attacked. But one of the things the enemy does, a woman who is as less prepared in her presentation, when something bad happens, the enemy actually uses the very thing she was confident in showing as a way to try to bring shame and guilt on her. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And so sometimes you can remove some of that in the forefront.
Well, with that being said, children, men, women, it's never your fault, no
Never.
matter what you're wearing. But we do, as a culture, we do need to put some clothes on, because I'm finding that our daughters, whom I love and I care for you so much, you are undressing, you're wearing beach clothes at the breakfast table. You're wearing beach clothes in the hotel lobby. You're wearing beach clothes to church. And I'm not saying I'm not a clothes minister, but what I am saying, you shouldn't be wearing a bikini to the church. I don't have an issue with pants and shorts and things like that. That's, being comfortable, because we went from one extreme to the next, but not just in our church, but even if you're going to show up at a friend's house, you don't come in your bathing suit with all your self um, exposed. So I think it's going to take some training from people that really love our daughters and care for her. Everybody don't have a mother. Everybody don't have a father like you. Everybody don't have the kind of mother to nurture them in that respect, especially after the abuse have taken place. Sometimes we go to a whole nother extreme of not feeling valuable. So you'll find us more relaxed with exposing our body, and it's not just out of wanting love or attention. It's a lot of it's out of the pain of I don't feel valuable. um, so, there's so many dynamics when it comes to sexual abuse. There's so many dynamics. We're just here to share with you just for a little bit some things to make you know and to remind you that you don't have to be ashamed if that has happened, if it has happened in your family, if your sons have done this thing, if your daughters have done this thing. Come to the table. Let's address it. Let's help them pick their heads up again and renew their strength and say, listen, you can overcome this. You can be better. And you are better, especially if you are a perpetrator. There is help. There is forgiveness for you. There you can love again. But what you cannot do is blame and lie and be deceiving, because those doors keep opening more doors, and it's a never ending story. So confess your faults one to another, making sure, we always say, get some good counsel, get good therapy, get good prayer. Go in, be concerned for yourself. Where we at now? Seems
We
like,
are on number 4, and it says
but
this.
no, I mean in time.
Oh,
How
time.
we going with time?
Time. We are, unfortunately, I think that says 35.
So we may have to do our other half next week, but we can go through
Yes,
number
let's
5.
get to 5. Number 4 says this: sexual assault is extremely damaging to its victims. And before I read this, I just want to preface it with this: is that I think we need to, when a person who has experienced it, when they come forward, I think we need to get off their back a little bit. Sometimes we want them to just get over it and move on, and we don't realize how extremely damaging it is.
Oh yeah, but you know what's really damaging is when a person wasn't there and they got the audacity. All that, but they wasn't there. Auntie, you weren't there. Brother, you weren't there. I said it happened. You don't get to tell me, in my experience, and Ayana Van Zant said best. It's my experience. You don't get to tell me that it didn't happen. That get over it, and my pain. I'm trying to transition, but there's a way to transition a person that is being abused. So because
Absolutely.
it's so damaging, it's such a breakdown of your whole person, your whole being, your whole emotion, your mental. It's tragic, and it's so hurtful, and it some of us, it just leaves us like a empty core, like you just a shell. It's like they just take their everything and just pull everything out of you. But I still want you to know there's restoration even in that, even in all that. And it's inexcusable for us in this day and age not to try to get on with our lives and go forward. And the best, um, what is it? The best way that you can get, what am I? Is success. What am I trying to say?
I'm not sure.
When when people do wrong to you, the best
Best medicine, the best way to move forward.
the best way to move forward, but the revenge, the best revenge is your success, is your getting better, is your
Exactly.
getting healing, because you may never get an apology. And some of these people, they act like they blink out, and they don't blink out. They get a good feeling.
Well, First Lady Sharessa Brown says you have a great topic and you speaking the truth, and she said say that. So thanks for that shout out, Miss Brown. Listen, as I read this, so sexual assault is extremely damaging. The one thing more staggering than the numbers of occurrences of sexual assault is the acute damage done to the victim. The effects are physical, social, emotional, psychological, and spiritual. Immediate physical effects may be pain and bodily injuries, especially if the perpetrator used force. Specific physical effects may include bruises, broken bones, STDs, nausea, vomiting,
Pregnancies.
pregnancy, headaches. Long-term physical effects may be disturbed sleep patterns, nightmares, insomnia, loss of appetite, stomach pain. Sexual assault causes harmful emotional, psychological, or psychological effects that are more severe than the effects of other crimes.
And I think a lot of time this is why we don't have the success in our church members as we like, because there's so many times they come in for the rush, for the and that they have not addressed the real issue somewhere. And we know prayer works to help you get through it, but you need someone to talk to. When you talk that list, and the list goes on: bruises, broken bones, having scars, and if anyone will say, hey, where did you get that scar, you might have a flashback, and we're defensive. And I understand, because I deal with a lot of women and I love women, I have patience with women, but this is my thing: sometimes they're so mean and they're so ugly in their ways, and they do little dirty things to me. And I just look at them and I see their pain. And God has given me so much grace and so much recovery that I don't get mad at them. And I get disappointed. But when they do the little things, like when you're with your friends, and we're grown women, and they still try to do little things to embarrass me, little things to make me feel a little bit less.
Right.
And if you're trying to make me feel a little bit less, it's only because you feel less. It's because that I want to make people feel better, heal better, get over these lost appetite, stomach pains, trying to eat our feelings away. And you need support. You need support. And some of you, we know that you're never going to talk about it, but at least you're hearing. Maybe something is breaking up on the inside that at least you're hearing. Please get a copy of my book so you can see the story and you can go in depth. And I'm trying to get Broderick and Pastor to let's get on this workbook so you can privately work it out yourself. You can work through these issues and you'll be better, and you can have a life. And when the sun is shining, you can recognize that is a new day.
Absolutely.
You can recognize that is a bird chirping, and life goes on. You can make it through all of this damaging hurt, pain, and sadness and misery and trauma. Honey, I declare my healing and my victory and my happiness. And sometimes everybody want to sum up that you got to have a man to be happy. Well, honey, don't I be happy on my own? I makes myself happy.
I mean,
I
what,
do
what, what
me
did you
happy.
want me to
I
say
think
about that?
I
That
think
you,
what
you happy without me? No, I don't
I'm
think you that
saying
happy
that
without me.
that
I
don't I do the work though? Do I do the work?
Yeah, you do the work, but something's missing if I ain't in your life. And Broderick even agrees with it.
Come
Look
on,
at
you
now,
you gotta
saying-
you gotta
he's
help
agreeing
us
with me.
before we do. I do the work. I want you to talk to these ladies and gentlemen.
Well, what do you mean?
Relax,
What
relax
exactly
your
are you
head. Ain't gonna
saying?
be no battle today. It's not gonna be a battle between the
Don't
sexes.
don't be hitting me now. Get your hand off me.
But I'm saying, when you see me and as 30 years, have I done the work? I mean,
Well, I must admit this. The fact that you have a life outside of me is an amazing thing. I think, I don't know how you did it, but to have all the stuff that you've been through, normally a person is very docile and closed in and they're scared, but you are
and
out.
codependent.
Yes, yes. You still depend on me. You need me. I mean, I'd hate to know you without me in your life, but
It's time to
honestly,
end.
but honestly,
We're
you're doing-
coming to an end. Can't y'all tell?
But
We
honestly,
way
you're doing-
over the cliff.
You're doing a great job. You're doing a really good job, and I
What
think.
what I'm trying to say to my sisters, that
Well, I
sometimes
agree with you.
you don't have to. You may not have the mother that everybody has. You may not have the father You may not, but you can do this. You are who you are. We came in this world by ourselves. And we're going to leave this world by ourselves.
Absolutely.
But I think in the healing process, you do need your team. You do need your cheerleaders. But you have to be cheering for yourself. And I
Absolutely.
don't want to hear nobody say, nobody loved me. No, just because you got raped, nobody loved you. Nobody cared. And my people, they always say, well, you had it easy. I'm like, wait a minute. You're saying that I had it easy getting raped? It wasn't difficult because somewhere I got strength from God is my help. But they tell me I had it easy. I had favor. It's some crazy dialogues that go on in our families. And I had to tell a person the other day. I said, so you saying that me getting raped and I had it easy because I had favoritism because somebody told me I was a pretty little girl? No. So anyway,
Well, let me
we're
read this
getting
last
long.
one.
There is a takeover. We're gonna let the takeover happen. Thank you for watching.
Um, I would like to say this. Yes, I do concur with everything you said. You are doing the work, and you're doing a great job at it. And
And
it's
I'm amazing.
definitely you're amazing. But I'd like to use my own words at this time so I can communicate, if you don't
You
mind.
know, if I don't
Uh,
be amazing, you know what's going on tonight. You know what's going down, right? Prayer. It's gonna be all night prayer vigil.
All right. So, as I was saying, number 5, and we're gonna close with this one.
I thought I said that we was doing it next week. Now, see,
You said we're
you
stopping
the
at 5,
takeover.
and we're
You
gonna
the
do
take.
the other
Okay,
5
okay.
last week.
What does the producer say? How many numbers
Did we
you
do
got?
number 5
How
or
many
not,
people
bro?
have
We
y'all
got
shared?
10. We got
Shared.
10.
Are you guys sharing out there? Share. We're not doing. We're only making fun to keep it light because we know it's a lot of pain all over the world.
Yes.
But through the pain, we got to keep on going. So
Here we
you
go.
do number 5 because it seems like, I'm gonna take over Sunday your church.
You know,
I'll be
what
at
are you
his
talking
church
about?
on Sunday morning
asked
at
me.
9. I will be preaching
What are you
part of the
talking about?
message.
What are you talking about?
I invited you to be a guest. Did you ever see Oprah's guests raise up the papers, take their papers? You done drunk all your drink, then you
It's
want
my
my drink. You're pulling on my phone. I mean, it's just like you were. Do you know
What's
what it
all
is
the
to be a
drunk?
guest? To be a guest, you supposed to all that extra.
Broderick,
You
I
know
don't
where
know
you
what
going
can
back?
do from
You
there,
going
but,
back to the booth next week.
okay.
You going back
That's-
to the
That's
booth.
fine with me. That's fine
No,
with me.
no, it ain't.
Yes, it
He
is.
trying to be nice. Look,
Yes,
look,
it is.
He's visual. Y'all
Nick.
take a visual of him. Uh-huh.
Listen,
now, don't
so-
wait a minute.
So-
Just one second. Please don't be mad at me, cause I can't take no more beatings. I can't take no more whoopings and no more hits. Cause you don't be mean to me.
Are you going to do that live?
You're
You be
amazing.
doing it.
You're amazing.
Hey, all right. So number 5 says this: sexual assault is widely misunderstood, and I can attest to that because I just could not understand it. But my wife had to keep iterating some things so I could really understand. But look at what it says: social psychology research on attitudes towards sexual assault has demonstrated that individuals in our society hold many prejudices about the negative views of sexual assault victims. So not only have they been through, now people are
Whoa.
prejudiced to them. They
Put us down.
they always want a handout. They always want pity. But watch this. Thus,
Oh.
victims often suffer not only from the trauma of the assault itself, but also from the effects of these negative stereotypes. The result is that victims feel socially derogated and blamed following their sexual assault, which can prolong, continue, and intensify the substantial psychological and emotional distress the victim experiences. And last, and then we're going to let our host close out. It is clear that negative reactions from family members, friends, loved ones, and society have a harmful effect on a victim that has already experienced
Now that one we
sexual
may have to deal with next week because I'm telling you, back to the worst of the worst is you were not there. You cannot say what happened. You chose a side. And most of the time it depends on that blood thicker than water stuff. Nothing's thicker than God's love. But you choose a side and you go into because nobody was there for you. Most of the time you already been sexual abused. Nobody dealt with your stuff. So you choose a side and you come with this that didn't really happen or this didn't really happen. I'm telling you, you were not there. And you don't get to re victimize a victim. Just continue to prolong the pain. So, what I did, I removed myself. I removed myself for those people that pass judgment. Whether they pass judgment on the perpetrator, you don't get to pass judgment. We get to help each other. We got to help heal each other. You
Absolutely.
pass judgment on the victim and make them feel like what it depends on whoever side, especially these families. They always want to get on somebody's side, and I'm gonna tell you one more time before I leave, you were not there, so you should just try to make sure that you're not being a judger and make sure that you're not saying things you shouldn't say. Listen, I have a lot of books, lots of books I have. I want to send you some. Let's get go into what DM me and I can get you a book out to you for a small fee. We have I ordered about 50 of them, and I would love for you all to share my story. Will you please share this topic tonight? And we're committed. We come here every Tuesday. We are committed to seeing a breakthrough in our generation, in our culture. Love you with all that I know. God bless you.
God bless you all as we get ready to let the host take us out. Have a great evening.
Can't you see victory? Victory! No more shame in this game. No more shame. No more shame. No more shame. No more shame.
I want my son to come on here and do some what they call it word. I call it rap, but they call it
'Cause you're at home.